I asked Spirit about messages that the collective needed to hear. And this message actually came through a few weeks ago. And it's about the matrix. Okay, it's about the 3D reality versus higher spiritual reality. What composes the matrix and how you escape it. So people that are black sheep, the outcasts, chosen ones, people that resonate with that title, this could be a huge part of why you feel like you don't belong, okay, in the matrix. So essentially what is going on here is we have a resonant field. It's like an energetic bandwidth. And within that space, people's consciousness is completely declined. And usually, if we look at it from the energy system, usually what's going on is the lower 3 chakras are open, and that's it. Okay, 4th density opens at the heart. That's when people really start expanding, okay, and realizing that the matrix was controlling their reality, okay. So it's a frequency bandwidth that you fit into. And it is composed of social programming, mass manipulation, energy programming, patterning, family and ancestral programming, okay? So if we look at it as an architectural structure, you'd have the 3D framework here, and it would be programs and rituals and rhythms that fit within a framework that only emphasizes the actualization of the lower 3 chakras. And what do those represent? Those represent personal will, sexuality and reproduction, and money and the physical body, okay? Once you open the heart, then you start getting into relational love, okay? That's primarily self-centered is the lower 3 chakras, okay? Then you get into relational love, and this is the portal to true source, okay? The lower 3 chakras, you're going to be walking towards the inversion if that's all that's open, okay? And so then the heart opens, and all of a sudden there's this flood of energy out into a higher level of consciousness, even if it's just the heart. 4D represents the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, the soul star, the stellar, the universal, and the cosmic gateway. Okay, that's 4D. It's when the entire field, the rest of the levels and layers of the field activate, Kundalini awakenings, awakening to the true nature of reality, true source, divine love, all of that stuff starts opening, as well as conspiracy theory land, which is in the 4D landscape. Okay, it's essentially this energetic bandwidth, and once you open the heart, then you start moving out of that matrix field, okay? Those that resonate with the black sheep, outcast, chosen ones archetype, you could be a starseed or a light worker, or there's all sorts of things that just artists a lot of times don't fit into that framework. It's kind of like the forced rigidity of tradition and reality. Physical reality is a primary focus. There's no spiritual, no emotional, no mental. It's just physical reality there, okay? And if there is emotional and mental energies, they are focused on the physical reality, okay? Not the higher spiritual pursuits, okay? So once you open the heart, you can leave the matrix. But what happens at the 4D level is you move into conspiracy theory land, and there is every single potential path you could walk down there, especially now. I woke up to the 4D reality and the conspiracies in 2008. And this was before they censored the internet. It was before you could get on Telegram and research everything. It was before people were talking about it on X. Before you could have a conversation with somebody. It was before Q. It was before all those things. And so I moved through that in a very different way than most. But you have to move through that landscape, become aware of everything that could potentially go on, and still stay aligned with the truth of source. Once you move past the 4D landscape, you can see clearly all the distortions in that 4D field. Okay, you can see what's true, what's not true. And some of it may be like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. We're seeing a lot of this actually play out now. But once you move beyond 4D, then you get into 5D and higher, okay? This is where true liberation is. The matrix sustains itself through patterned behavior, so habits, media cycles, emotional rhythms. And what this does is it keeps the human power looping below its true potential. You move through the 4D field, then you start awakening to all of these things that are going on, many real, many not real. And you can actually tell. I can read anyone's energy and see where they're operating, okay? Any spiritual leader, anyone that comes to me for help or advice, I can see where they're at and the frequency bandwidth that they're working at, depending on if you've grounded into a higher density core, depending on your frequency, depending on how clear your field is, we'll know if you're seeing clearly or if there's distortions, okay? If you're seeing through a veiled lens, okay? True liberation comes when you move beyond 4D, okay? 4D is essentially the 8th sphere. It's the astral realm. It's the place where all good and bad, if you want to call it that way, all light, all dark, all high resonance, all low resonance, can commingle, okay? A lot of people can build false reality structures in the 4D, make it feel as though they're in the 5D or beyond, okay? Even though it's a false reality structure, they have not even penetrated into 5th density energies, okay? Once you penetrate that with your consciousness, then the work is to anchor it, okay? That's where true liberation is, okay? So, and the reality is that the matrix is it's a program. I don't believe in the simulation theory, but the matrix is one. And it's a frequency program. It's a frequency program that you get stuck in so you cannot actually see your true potential, okay? You are locked into this distorted physical reality structure, unable to perceive the true nature of reality and your true potential. Okay, so if your focus is on financial abundance and that's all you focus on throughout your life, you're going to stay in that box and stay enslaved to the system. The goal is to move into the 4D, into the 5D, and anchor that. Once you do that, then you can access your true power and your true potential, okay? And that comes through the power of your consciousness, okay? Grounded, embodied consciousness and your energy field, as well as your light body, okay? This gives you power over that matrix, okay? The matrix itself does not control you anymore once you move beyond that, okay? The matrix is a non-issue. You still have to do things. You still have to put gas in your car and go to the store and pay your bills, but it does not control your energy. It doesn't control your frequency. It doesn't control your subconscious mind or your choices, okay? And that's the problem here. You're running and looping these programs from the matrix that are not yours, okay? True liberation is when you've cleared all the programs, all the distortions, all the blockages in your field, and you've elevated your frequency to such a high degree that no amount of 5G, EMF, distortions, social programming, coding in music or lyrics, or distortions in all of the media. I mean, literally everything's energy. So if you look at it in that capacity, people are being programmed through school systems, through music they listen to, through EMF, through 5G towers. People even say there's an AI bandwidth that is meant to keep people in this framework. Once you move beyond that, it doesn't affect you. None of that does, okay? That's the goal. That's the true liberation. If you go into the 4D and you start fighting these things head on, which we need people to do that because we need those systems rebuilt anyways, and it is happening now, by the way, but we need all the physical systems rebuilt, but from a 4D framework, not a 3D. So those people have to rise above the 3D frequencies, start building in the 4D with pure connection to source consciousness, to God consciousness, okay? then we can build systems to liberate the entire planet, okay? So your liberation comes through that. Low frequency behaviors, routine, dependency, fear, distraction, these all sustain the net. So they're literally getting people to feed the 3D matrix, okay, through social media, movies, TVs. If you are conscious and you can watch a movie with conscious awareness of what's going on, it's not going to influence your subconscious mind because you're pinging it. You're like, I see that. It can't enter, okay? And you can see that very easily once your field is clear. True liberation is elevation, raising coherence beyond the field of control. Healing and divine rhythm are technologies of freedom. Sovereignty means building your own frequency architecture that no system can program. So what we're seeing here is the architecture of the 3D reality. Once you move beyond into 5D and higher, you start building your own architecture. And that's what we're doing in the new earth, okay? We are escaping this by raising our frequency and stabilizing our own reality outside of this, outside of the distortions in the 4D. You have to move through the distortions in the 4D, okay? All the chaos there. And then once you get to 5D or higher, and this is what I teach, is building that energetic architecture, new systems, new programs based on a higher level frequency, okay, higher level structure, then we start building the new earth in 5D, okay? It's not going to be in 4D. 4D is a transitional plane to help people pass through all the chaos, okay? If you were to anchor, you can't anchor into 4D. You anchor into 3D or 5D. 4D is a plane of all things. Once we get into 5D, then we start building those structures there, okay? And we teach in the mastery school, in the prep school, we teach you how to move into 5D, okay? To anchor that, to stabilize those frequencies so you actually move beyond the fourth density concerns, okay? Like I said, you will still deal with that to some degree because the entire planet is all over the map. Some people are 3D, some people are super inverted, some people are 4D, some people are 5D, some people are way higher, okay? But we're looking at embodied states so you can actually pull these frequencies into your body, into your reality, and that's how we will build the new earth, okay, from that space. So the goal is to raise the frequency, stabilize the field, activate the light bodies, and come into a place of coherence with your energy field and learn how to build energetic architecture with the things you're creating, because that will sustain it moving forward, okay? Then we have great power arises naturally when the human frequency stabilizes above manipulation. So as you elevate and you anchor, your potential will automatically start coming online. Okay, it is something that is innate within you. It becomes unlocked. But what we have to do is stabilize the field. I've seen this a lot, especially recently, is that people are really pushing the frequencies. I want to move higher and higher and higher. But you can't do that unless your light body is stable, because the body's energetic framework isn't strong enough to hold those higher frequency currents. So you have to start building the light body. Once you build the light body, then the energy actually has the space to expand to, and it kind of filters through the light body and the physical body as you're attuning to the frequencies, and it stabilizes the energy so you can continue evolving, okay? So that's what we do with the light body work, and that helps you to anchor and hold these higher frequencies as you move through this, okay? So that's what was asked for me to talk about. Let me see if there's anything else. Healing, coherence, and elevation dissolve the frequencies that bind you. So the difference really is you're bound and controlled by a system that blocks your power. Once you move out of that, then you're free. Okay, that's what we're looking at, freedom energetically. And the energetic freedom is going to come first. Nobody can build 5D systems in the 3D or even 4D, okay, unless they have access to that higher consciousness, okay. So every single moment that you come into that place of presence, of healing, and of elevation, you start weakening the programs and the coding. The huge shift is opening the heart, okay? And the huge shift into 5D is stabilizing the light body, okay? If you do not do the light body work, you're not going to be able to anchor 5D frequencies, okay? I have seen it before, but it's the field kind of starts rupturing and there's blocks and distortions. So to avoid that, you have to just make sure that you're activating the light body. So what you pull in is coherent and you can handle it without distortions. Because say you're resonating really, really high frequencies and you start pulling it into the body and the energy field starts rupturing, the energy field can then begin unraveling. And then you can fall back through 4D and down into 3D again. So we don't want to see that. We don't want to see the light body collapse or the energy field collapse. We have to work on that stability, okay? So this is stuff that I study. I haven't read about this anywhere else. And if you are unaware, I wrote my past life papers. And so I went back through, I was part of ancient Egypt, Knights Templars. I was part of the Diamond Sow. I was actually a nun in a few lifetimes, a warrior in a few lifetimes. I have really extensive experience from many different religions and spiritual traditions all over the world. And so these are just innate within me. And I started mapping this, unaware of all of that. I mapped it with myself and I've mapped it with a lot of clients all over the world. And this hasn't been recorded before. And we're mapping all the way up through the activation of the rainbow body. And then what happens when the physical body turns completely to light and dissolves, transcends reality, okay? The rainbow body doesn't just happen like that. It happens in phases, okay? So we go through this whole light body activation and then the rainbow body activates. You still have a physical body, but what's happening is the cellular structure begins shifting and changing and transmuting into a crystalline nature, okay? This is potential for every human to get into that space. And the higher you rise and the more grounded you become, the more crystalline the physical body can become. The field has to crystallize first because that holds the source current and allows your body to integrate it naturally. I'm studying my process and refining the process. So if I go through something that seems extremely challenging, I work to create a more cohesive and natural shift to teach others so they can move through it smoother. But because I'm studying myself and many other people around the world, we're seeing patterns. Okay, so it's not just me. I'm looking at patterns, how people move through this, and the rate at which the patterns are replicated through person, completely irrelevant of what they believe to be true, based on the frequencies, the activations, etc., is unmistakable. Okay, so we're watching this, studying it, recording it, so as we move forward, we're able to replicate this process and build structures around the ascension process to help people maintain higher frequencies, okay, maintain an elevated planetary collective and not fall to the depths again, okay? But people have to be aware that they have to release the binding of the 3D, the frequencies of the 3D, transcend that, move through 4D, and then start building their own reality there, okay? Once you start understanding the maps and understanding how all of this functions, it makes a lot more sense, okay? So we're seeing that false light reality, the bindings to the 3D, the bindings to the 4D, structures, the bubbles in the 4D, those are all things that you can avoid or move through a lot more smoothly if you connect truly to the divine and you clear your field, okay? Get rid of everything and start anchoring the higher frequencies, okay? doing light body activations, etc. So anyways, I wasn't trying to go off that much, but the matrix is the bondage. Liberation is energetic sovereignty. That's true liberation. Energetic sovereignty happens around the 144 or the diamond sun, okay, where there is literally nothing. There's no micro tears, no distortions, etc. That is true liberation. And from that place, then you become a celestial architect, able to build these structures. If you'd like an analysis, a session, please reach out, or to join the Jedi Prep. All of this is documented in Jedi Prep. All sessions are in there. If you feel like this would help you to liberate into true energetic sovereignty, please reach out. Okay, hope that was helpful.